Here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, away we go on this Thursday edition of Sports Talk. What a beautiful day here in South Carolina. Glad you're with us. Appreciate you turning over to us from whatever it was you were listening to because, hey, you know that we are here for you every night from 6:05 till 8 o'clock to bring you the best in sports in South Carolina. That's why we are self-proclaimed the sports influencers here in South Carolina. It's a happy day. It's a happy day because we welcome back after a 3-week vacation. Chris Bergen is back with us. Man, I will speak for me to say that you were missed. I don't know about anybody else, maybe none of the listeners, certainly not Pat, but I personally missed you.
Well, I appreciate that, Phil. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's good to be back. Had a really, really good time up in the mountains over the weekend. Went from a baseball game on Saturday afternoon to snow on Tuesday morning up in Boone. So you get a little bit of everything in the high country of North Carolina, but my wife and I had a good time. So good to be back home and back at it here on Sports Talk.
Well, the main thing is you got some rest because, it came at the end of a long basketball season for you, Sports Talk and everything else that you're doing. So, you got your win back, and now you're ready to sprint into summer and handle the fort because there's no more vacation for you. You're done.
All right, fair enough. Though I may take one more before we're done, before we get into the fall.
Yeah.
Or I will be divorced and I can come live with you guys because I may need that. But no, I'm
got room.
Glad to be back. Yeah, glad to be back.
We got room. All right, so go ahead and get it off your chest. Everything that you've been wanting to say over the last week.
Oh, wow.
And you could only tell your wife about it. Now you can tell everybody else about things in the sports world that you've been wanting to share.
And I thought it was a great sports weekend here in our state because you had the Gamecocks wrapping up spring practice and everything seemed to go well. And from what I saw, I got to watch the second half of the spring game and watching our reports at SportsTalkSC on Twitter. Seemed like everything went well. Spencer Rattler, everything he was is, I think the story, Smitty wrote the story, said everything he was advertised to be. And I don't think there's any quarterback controversy coming out of spring practice for the Gamecocks. And then baseball won a game that they lost, that they should have won, that they should have lost, that they came back and won to take a big series from Ole Miss. I don't think you could have asked for much better from a Gamecock perspective. Clemson finally figured a way to win an ACC series. And I guess in baseball, the salve for the Tigers is Wake Forest, right? If they need anybody to sort of stop a slide, it's get Wake Forest on the schedule. And then they had a crazy game or two in their mix. So it really was a good weekend, I thought, from a sports perspective. The only thing that aggravated me about the whole weekend, Phil, I'm sitting here reading Twitter and judging by the social media reports and everything coming out of the South Carolina spring game. And the most ridiculous part of it, aside from the spring game itself, was Gamecock fans upset about the announced attendance by USC. Is that really a story? I mean, first off, if you were at the game, you did exactly what your head coach asked you to do. You saw if it were more than 20,000 plus, which the university reported. So if you felt it was undervalued, that's fine. You were there. If you weren't there and are complaining, well, aren't you part of the problem? But the most ridiculous thing about spring practice is spring practice. But the second most ridiculous thing about spring practice is complaining about the attendance at the spring game. I could not believe how many people were up in arms. Oh, there were a whole lot more than 20. Okay, so what? Great.
Well, not only were they up in arms about the announced figure, they were up in arms over the fact that the media announced it on Saturday night. Like, how dare you do your job and report what USC was reporting? And you notice that USC hasn't retracted. They didn't come back out on Sunday or Monday and go, oh, you know what, after reviewing the film and doing a recount, we've determined it was actually more like 30,000 than 20,000 in there. I mean, it is totally irrelevant. Spring games are nothing but a showcase for recruiting now. That's really what it's all about. And I think South Carolina did a really good job of building up their day. That whole weekend with all the sports activities they had going on, working around the weather. But they did a nice job with their Gamecock Walk and with other things. I think there was a concert. They had fireworks and all this other stuff going on around the game to give it a little extra splash. and to impress the 32 offered recruits who were there.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently at least one, I'm assuming he was there, at least one told Shane Beamer he's committed because, Beamer put out a commitment alert earlier this week that's yet to be claimed. But I'm assuming it's coming from one of the guys that was in for that game. But the thing about the attendance was totally, that's just laughable to waste. We talked about it Monday, of course,
I'm sure
because
you did.
we were, I'm not even there. And I've got hooligans on our timeline, taking shots at me. And I'm not even there. It was Smitty that was tweeting and covering for us. But then I had to step in and set a few people straight about, don't be jumping on not just us, but the media in general, because the media in general was just reporting what USC was putting out there. So we can put that to bed, though we still have not been able to get to the audio from Spencer Rattler after the game. And I know it's a few days after the fact, but I still think I want to play that tonight. We should have some time because I think it'd be interesting to hear his take on his first spring and maybe his only spring at USC. And we can talk about him as a player and as an individual moving forward and what he's going to mean to South Carolina. As we've now put spring practice to bed for those schools, and we've got a few more teams still practicing and about to have spring games. Newberry has its spring game Saturday. South Carolina State has its spring game Saturday. We're getting close to putting everybody down with spring practice, but that just means we start talking about the upcoming season and who's going to do what, along with everything that's going on in recruiting. We're going to have a huge, massive recruiting report tonight because I kind of shortchanged things last night on a short night with SC Wild. So we'll pick it up and make it up tonight and catch everybody up on what we know because there's been a lot going on. And, of course, you've got the revolving doors in football and basketball programs with players entering the portal, John, on an hourly basis, so it seems. And at Clemson, the revolving door in the basketball coaching office, as it's being reported by one of the national pundits, that Brad Brownell has hired, John Rothstein, Brad Brownell has hired Billy Donlin, who was previously the head coach at both Kansas City and Wright State. Whereas Brownell was at Wright State before he came to Clemson, and Sean Dixon from Middle Tennessee State. So they would replace the two guys that left Clemson just recently. You know a little something about Sean Dixon.
Sean's a great hire, former PC player, actually has sort of himself up through the ranks in the mid-majors and did a great job. He was actually on the staff at UNC Asheville, and their head coach in Middle Tennessee now escapes my, and I apologize for that, but he went with him to Middle Tennessee and now has a chance to come back home. I think that's a great hire for Brad Brownell and the Tigers. My concern is, though, we can spend the next 2 hours, I'm sure, talking about the portal, John, and I'm sure you guys did that last night with regards to the announcement that that Jay Wright is leaving Vanderbilt. Leaving Villanova.
That did not come down. That hit. I'm glad you brought that up. That hit right at 7:30, right as we were going into SC Wild. So we mentioned it, but I did not want to take 1 second away from Major Downer, so we didn't really get into it. But go ahead.
Well, my point was going to be, you see even players like the Llewellyn kid who we interviewed on this program about 2 weeks ago when he announced that he was coming to Clemson, and then has now pulled his name back out of the Tigers and his commitment because of changes within the coaching staff. I think Sean's a great hire and a great addition to that staff. I'm just beginning to wonder now if college basketball is not heading down a road that we're not going to be able to reverse unless the NCAA steps in and legislates some major, major changes with regards to the transfer portal.
Do not disagree. Not just the transfer portal, but everything else that's going on that's attached to it. And I think that in Jay Wright's case, and I think you'll see it in other cases, I have no doubt in my mind that Roy Williams was part of this thinking. I don't know about Krzyzewski. He was 75 or is 75, so maybe, he was just at the age where it was time to hang it up. Though he was in Boston last night sitting along the baseline watching the Celtics go up 2-0 on the Nets. Yay. So what coach today wants to go through, I'm talking about your veteran coach, even your highly successful coach. The younger guys, what are they? They're all fired up. They're great. They're happy to have a job. They feel like they can run through a brick wall. So what? You got to re-recruit your team every year. I'll just go to the transfer portal, John, and get new players. The older guys who've been through it and built their programs the way you used to build programs, they don't want to go through this nonsense. I mean, they really don't want to go through the hassle of constantly having to recruit your own team, and then you go and recruit players who've already been developed by other coaches. Think about this. You don't really get to develop players anymore in basketball if you're taking them out of the transfer portal, John, because they've already been developed in the years they've spent in other programs. You might tinker with something here or there, but they are what they are. By the time they get to you in their second or third year of college basketball, you're not going to be able to change their bad habits, I don't think. And I just believe it. And it was reported last night by sources, by media people around Jay Wright, that was part of the deal with him walking away at the age of 60. That he's just fed up with the whole deal, the transfer portal, the NIL stuff, and everything else that's been thrown at college coaches now who just don't want to get down the weeds and have to do all that stuff now. And I can foresee more of that age group probably walking away in the next couple of years. Maybe a Bill Self. Of course, he might be going away in handcuffs with the NCAA. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen there with Kansas? But I could see others who are of that age group. Now, Boeheim is, he might be the outlier here. Even though he announced that he was going to be retiring like a couple of years ago, right? Didn't he say he was going to coach 2 or 3 more years? But he's still coaching. He hasn't walked away yet. He might be the last dinosaur left among that group. But I agree with what you're saying there. I think that has something to do with these guys putting the whistle down.
It absolutely does. And there's no way, and I think Roy Williams probably saw it coming. And we're going to see guys like Jim Boeheim. I think we're also going to see a Bob Huggins and certainly a Cliff Ellis, some of the guys that are inside the top 8, 9 of all-time wins. They're not going to put up with this much longer. I mean, with the standpoint where your team, and by the way, Nick McDivitt is the head coach at Middle Tennessee. That was the coach's name that I was trying to remember, who went from Asheville to Middle Tennessee and took Sean Dixon with him. And now Sean's coming back home and is going to coach at Clemson. But Phil, I just don't see veteran coaches putting up with this much longer. And I think one easy solution for those of you out there saying the transfer portal is a good thing because players maybe get in a situation where they made a mistake initially. And I can understand that. And I have no problem with that. But it should be a one-time freebie transfer. We need to get rid of, you either get an opportunity, if you're going to take the transfer, you take it whether it's prior to your graduate year or your graduate transfer year. You don't get both. And this is where we end up in situations where you get a kid where he may play at 3 different schools because he transferred and they got a waiver year with the COVID. And then he's also got an opportunity to transfer as a graduate transfer. And you have players, this is going to kill, in my opinion, much more so than the NIL. The transfer portal is going to kill college basketball. And if you're a high school player, how in the world do you get into this mix? How do you jump your way into this mix? And if the Jay Wrights of the world and the Roy Williams and Coach K and all of those guys are already seeing the writing on the wall, and they're doing what Dabo Swinney and Nick Saban are trying to do on the football side. And that's why finally it started getting national discussion. This has been a problem, as Frank Martin pointed out last year. This has been a problem in college basketball long before it was a problem in college football. But if we're going to get to a standpoint where you lose 5, 6, 7 players, I saw a stat over the weekend that of all the high majors, and that's your Power 5 leagues, there are only 12 schools nationally that did not have at least one player transfer out of their program.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. You're talking about 70, 75 teams roughly that have had at least one player, if not more, transfer out of their program. The worst thing that happened to the NCAA in terms of men's basketball in the regular season is the NCAA tournaments, because we've gotten to a point that that's all we care about. The second worst thing that's going to happen is the revolving door of players, and you can't build a relationship with your team because the only thing you're going to be pulling for is that school, because you're not going to be able to pull for players anymore.
All right, let's go to the break. We'll get back to phone calls and continue. And the thing is, Chris, we're talking about it from where we sit and the shoes that we've walked in. I don't know about the next era of sports fans, and if they really care about the things that we talk about, that they, and Pat's over there shaking his head like they don't, that they have a different viewpoint about it. I mean, they apparently are for free agency in college sports, pay the players like pros. And basically, they don't want college sports as college sports. They want college sports as professional sports, and just treat them like pros, pay them like pros, have free agency like pros. But I'll say this, the pros don't have the freedom the college players have right now. You're a professional.
No.
You sign a contract. You just can't up and leave your team. Well, you can quit. You can retire. You won't get paid. And you might kill your career that way. But college players up and leaving at the drop of a hat, for whatever reason, I would say I would do away with the 1-year free transfer. I would go back to sitting out at least a year. There's got to be some way to de-incentivize, if that's a word, all the transferring, unless if your head coach leaves, then I think you can get that 1-year free transfer if the head coach leaves. Back in a moment. Hi, this is Phil Kornblut of Sports Talk here with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. What words of wisdom do you have for those hitting the water this summer?
Phil, collisions can be prevented easily if every vessel operator fulfills 3 major responsibilities. 1, practice good seamanship. It's the responsibility of every boat or PWC operator to take all necessary action to avoid a collision. 2, keep a proper lookout. Failing to keep a sharp lookout is the most common cause of boating collisions. And finally, maintain a safe speed. Remember, boat safe, boat smart.
Happy Budweiser Thirsty Thursday, Fireflies fans. Celebrate the weekend a day early at Segra Park with half-price draft beer and fountain sodas plus $2 Bud Light. Are you a Disney super fan? Think you could crush the competition in a game of Disney trivia? If you answered yes, get to the game early and play pregame Disney trivia to win Fireflies tickets and gift cards. Gates open at 6 p.m. Visit firefliestickets.com to get your tickets now.
The lady in black doesn't age. She just gets tougher. And NASCAR Throwback Weekend is when she likes to remind everyone just how they got here. Loud cars and louder colors, business up front and parties in the back. Over 70 years of history held together with one famous black stripe. Too tough to tame? I guess you'll have to find out. Darlington Throwback Weekend, May 6th through the 8th. Get your tickets at darlingtonraceway.com.
All right, phone number 888-898-2525 here on Sports Talk. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. And since 2002, more than $174 million in lottery proceeds have been used to purchase, maintain, and fuel over 2,000 school buses in South Carolina. Learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at seeducationlottery.com/educationwins. Playing for fun is a win for education. Let me say, anytime we talk about these things in college athletics, Chris and Pat, anytime we talk about it, whether I'm talking, you're talking, or Pat's talking, it's our own individual opinion. And do I feel I'm right? Of course I do. Do you feel you're right? Of course you do. Does Pat feels he's right? Of course he does. Do callers who have different opinions think they're right? And sure they do. There is no consensus here on the right way to handle college athletics anymore, because we've pretty much blown up the model, and we don't have a model. We don't have any guardrails right now. They just opened up the barn door and let everything out at one time without really thinking about the repercussions. And what are the repercussions? I mean, to me, the way I look at the repercussions, they aren't good. Other people might look at them and say, that's just great. If a player can make several $1 million while he's in college playing a sport, that's wonderful. See, I happen to believe that the value of a college athlete is not based on millions of dollars. I happen to think the value of a college athlete is based on the scholarship. I think a scholarship is a perfect, quote unquote, payment for a college athletic career. I think a scholarship is a perfect, quote unquote, payment for the lead pianist in your college choir, if they give music scholarships. I think that's the perfect payment. You got a great talent in music and you want to be the the lead singer in the choir or the lead trumpeter, and we give you a scholarship, I think that's a great exchange there. I don't think millions. I don't think a college athlete is worth millions of dollars. And now you get to professional athletes. I was thinking about this last night. Why do professional athletes make millions of dollars? Why? You know why? Because the owners of the individual teams want to win. And the owners of the individual teams are willing to pay the money it takes to win. Think back when George Steinbrenner was signing free agents and paying the money that nobody else was paying, and to try to buy up every quality free agent. Why? Because he wanted to win. So he drove the market up when he signed Reggie Jackson to the multi-million-dollar deal, and then A-Rod, and on and on. Well, Texas drove it up when they signed A-Rod, but then Steinbrenner picked it up, and the other owners. It became a who could pay the most to get the best players because they wanted to win. So in college now, the desire to want to win, I think, is now going to be manifesting itself greater than ever. I mean, there's always been that desire to want to win. And you would have some people who would do anything it would take to win, to try to get a key player here or there to help them to win. But now that it's open for anybody and everybody to pay the players through the NILs, it's going to send the market skyrocketing, right? Because you got people who want to win at all costs, and you're going to be inflating the value of the players. That's what I'm getting to here. The value of the players are going to be inflated so much for the desire to win by the fan bases who are willing for who knows why they feel like they're part of the solution when they're really part of the problem. And the value of a player is going to be so overly inflated where you're going to be seeing, a guy who might be a starting corner pulling in hundreds of $1,000s through the NIL process. Yet he might turn out just to be a bum on the field. And then, how do you get your money back from that? See what I'm saying? My thought is the value of a college athlete is no more than what a scholarship is, if you ask me. A 4-year scholarship. I'm not talking about the 1-year deal. I think every school, when they sign a player, it should be a pledge of a 4-year commitment each way, unless somebody, breaks that commitment by violating rules or something like that. I think that's what your stated value should be for a college athlete. But that's just my opinion. And I'm sure for those who believe in the NIL process and all of that, they think that that's just totally hogwash.
Oscar Shibway is going to be the poster boy, I think, for the NIL in college athletics, because here's a guy who earlier this week, and I'm sure you guys touched on it yesterday, if not the day before, has announced he's coming back to Kentucky. And the only reason he would be coming back to Kentucky is because he believes he's going to make more money, name, image, and likeness, than he could in his first rookie contract in the NBA.
That's hard to believe, isn't it?
And if you said that 10 years ago, Phil, I would have laughed you out of the building. I would have said, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Now, the question is Oscar Shibway worth that? Because he was also on a team that had its worst postseason loss in school history and lost to a 15 seed in St. Peter's in the NCAA tournament. So is Oscar Shibway worth $2+ million coming back in an NIL? And if you're the NBA, you're thinking, oh, my gosh, how can we now compete with colleges? Not the other way around.
Yeah. Excellent point. All right, we'll hit a break. And if you want to join us, 888-898-2525 is the number. Monty Lee, Clemson baseball coach, with us live at 7:05 tonight. We'll be back after the break.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. We're cooling down to 52 overnight. The clouds clearing out for tomorrow, and it'll be a gorgeous day. Sunny skies, high temperatures, topping out at 83. More of the same for the weekend. Mostly sunny skies, the high temps reaching the lower to mid-80s. Our hottest day might be on Monday. Temps expected to reach 87. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
Hello, I'm Carolyn Sawyer, an entrepreneur and caregiver. Part of taking care of your health is knowing if you're at risk of type 2 diabetes. Prediabetes is serious and puts you at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. Up to 90% of South Carolinians who have it don't know they have it. Visit inittogethersc.org. Take an online test to find out your risk and join a diabetes prevention program. This message brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of SC.
United We Pledge has partnered with Balance of Nature to help ensure traditional American freedoms exist for us and for future generations. United We Pledge is raising money to build an American Village West campus that will house replicas of key historic buildings and realistic portrayals of the men and women who helped shape this nation. This village will provide educational experiences for youth and families. To raise funds and bring awareness to this project, world record-holding endurance athlete Tom Jones is running 76 consecutive marathons from the original American Village in Alabama to the future home of the American Village West in Washington County, Utah. He will be powered by Balance of Nature fruits and veggies. Balance of Nature is proud to provide fruits and veggies in a Patriot Pack for a limited time to support this effort. A portion of the proceeds from each Patriot Pack will go directly to United We Pledge to help build this project. Use promo code VILLAGE to receive 35% off your first preferred order. Go to buypatriotpack.com to start your pledge to help preserve the freedoms we value.
Here are your 3 bacon on bacon quarter-pound double cheeseburgers. Enjoy your Sonic.
Dang, son, this bacon is just hanging out of this burger, dog.
That nice, tangy smoked sauce.
The bacon on this burger is just asking me to eat it.
You should oblige.
Bring home the bacon with a Sonic Bacon on Bacon quarter-pound double cheeseburger, stacked with 4 slices of crispy bacon and covered in tangy smoked sauce. Try one half price in the app for a limited time only at Sonic. Exclusions apply. See app for details. Mobile ordering available at select locations.
If you're like me, you're sick and tired of seeing these old TV stars, game show hosts, these athletes telling you how to save money on your Medicare and on your health insurance. These national toll-free numbers are overwhelming us. It's not that people don't need the service. They need good local customer service, not big box toll-free numbers. See, I work directly with Tim Hanberry right here at Medicare Blueprint in the Midlands. When it comes to my family, I want the best family plan. I'm not even on Medicare, but my mom is. So here's what I do want. Someone local to serve as my advisor on the plans and choices that I have, and someone to help mom with her Medicare. I want someone to help me pick the right plan, save me as much money as possible by knowing all the rules of the game. Medicare Blueprint starts the process with you. They will see it through. They answer all your questions. They call you back. It's the same folks helping you start to finish. Tim and his team are independent. They fight for you, not the insurance company. Online, it's MedicareBlueprint.com or call them 708-7398.
When you're a military veteran with over 40,000 organizations trying to help you, it can be hard to find the right information. That's why AARP brings together valuable resources to help you navigate your options. AARP.org/veterans. With the free veteran employment and fraud prevention resources, caregiving tools, and access to discounts, AARP, on a mission to support veterans. Visit AARP.org/veterans today.
Everyone knows that here at The Point, we are all about supporting local businesses. We are all about local, local, local. You cannot get more local than my friend Greg McCoy and his business, Simplified Mortgage Solutions. Fran Halloran here. If you're buying a home or you're looking to refinance your current home, you owe it to yourself to call Greg. He is the real deal. You can expect Greg to treat you like you are his only client. You can expect Greg to scour the market to find you the best rate available. You can expect Greg to charge you a fair price for his work and his service. Why would you deal with some national company headquartered in who knows where when you can do business with Greg? Need further persuasion? Okay, I didn't even mention the good Greg does in our community by supporting local charities like Blue Star Mothers and Camp Chemo. Come on, you need to call Greg. Online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com, or you can call Greg at 803-722-6044. That's 722-6044.
Quick reminder for you, if you lose us over the air, and we hope that you don't, but sometimes it does happen, if you lose us over the airwaves, you can always find us several different ways as we do stream the show for you. We stream it on Twitter, which is a very popular way to watch us on our Twitter at SportsTalkSC. We stream it on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, and on Facebook, on our Facebook page, Sports Talk Media Network, Sports Talk Media Network, for both of those. You can also go to our website and pick us up there on an audio feed by clicking on Listen to the live stream of Sports Talk. And everything we do is in podcast form. You can always go back and find us in a podcast on SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, and also at Spotify. So no reason, no excuse for ever missing a moment of Sports Talk. Got recruiting coming up for you as well. Couple of quick notes, and we'll get to some phone calls.
I've got one too, Phil, if I may, about one of our affiliates before we get to phone calls.
All right. Well, let me hit these quick notes. Our Sports Talk notebook here, brought to you by Founders Federal, where you can get a mortgage note. You know, things are starting to climb, but you can get a mortgage note at Founders Federal for as low as 3.587%. So give them a call. We give you our Founders Federal notebook very quickly here. Run over some keynotes. Of course, we had Mark Kingston on with us earlier in the week. He told us that he would say today on the status of Julian Bosnick, and Julian Bosnick is out for the season. We'll have a minor elbow procedure. And Brett Thomas is going to start for the Gamecocks tomorrow night at Auburn. It'll be Noah Hall on Saturday and Will Sanders going on Sunday. That's the rotation for the Gamecocks. For Clemson, Mac Anglin starts on Friday, and then TBA for the Tigers Saturday and Sunday against Florida State. Jacksonville State's athletics director, speaking to a group of folks there at Jackson State. Make that Jacksonville State. Mm-hmm. Jacksonville State, not Jackson State. Jacksonville State. He said they've got a game with South Carolina lined up for 2023. He was telling his board of trustees on Monday that they have a verbal agreement to play the Gamecocks for $1.3 million in 2023, and they are agreeing to pay that play the Gamecocks after making $400,000 from Florida State in 2021.
Be fun for the media covering that game. Can't say Gamecocks in that contest.
Gamecocks everywhere.
With USC and Jacksonville
and
State.
You know who the head coach is there at Jacksonville State, right? Rich Rod.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Rich Rod. Earl Brown Jr. returning to Burke High School's head football coach, Scotty Eisberg, reported that earlier today. Florida baseball. Left-hander Hunter Barco, one of the nation's premier pitchers, out indefinitely. Elbow discomfort. Blow for him. And we mentioned the state's spring game is coming up. Same thing with Newberry. Have their spring game on Saturday. And our poll question of the week, Spencer Rattler was sharp in the Gamecock spring game, completing 8 of 10 for 79 yards. Which performance level do you think he will reach this fall? Heisman Trophy, All-American, All-SEC, or All-State? And you say, Mr. Bergen?
Wow. That's a good question. I like this when I was reviewing this and actually listening to him talk after the spring game. He's so impressive behind the microphone. This is a kid, if the talent matches it, and I think he's got that talent, but if his talent matches his ability to speak in public, he's going to do a lot of good, whether it's football or something else. He's going to be a success in life. Oh, boy. I'm wondering if being All-State is not more difficult than being All-SEC for him.
Well, 51% have him All-SEC, 22.7% All-State, 13.3% Heisman Trophy, and 12.8% All-American. So at least about 26% feel like he's going to have a nationally acclaimed season. 51% think he's going to be, good for the SEC. I see no reason why he won't have a really good season. He's got the individual skills, and I think they've got some quality people around him. We're talking about NILs, and I see where we've got 2 more of the websites that cover teams in our state jumping into the NIL swamp. Looks like the Big Spur is getting involved in it with something called Carolina Rise. And so they're asking people to give money to their collective. I imagine they're going to start paying for interviews, which is not media. To me, in my opinion, you're not media when you're paying for your interviews. That just totally separates you from what real media is. But I don't understand the mindset of these websites who, to become established and to get their media credentials, they had to swear that they would be journalists and swear that they would be impartial and swear that they would follow the rules of journalism. And this goes against every sense of the rules of journalism. This is the second Gamecock site. There's a Clemson site, the Clemson Insider, which appears to me to be involved in a recently developed collective for Clemson as well, called, what was it called? Tiger, I got it right here.
Tiger Impact.
Tiger Impact, yes. Rich Davies, Kendall Alley, and Kevin Gemus, former Tiger players, played in the 80s. They've started Tiger Impact. It says here a collective that will pay out more than $5 million to athletes, NIL, and 12 Clemson athletes have been brought on to work on behalf of the community charities that align with the athletes' personal passions, according to a release. I think maybe the Clemson Insider is working with them on that. And I see where UCLA is starting up a collective as well called the Westwood Exchange, a free business registry designed for companies, donors, fans, and alum that want to connect directly with Bruin student athletes interested in capitalizing on NIL. And on it goes.
So are Ross Taylor at Clemson and Steve Fink at South Carolina going to have to now have two separate press conferences after every game? First, for those of us in the true media, where we get to ask everything for free. And then we have to leave the room to bring in the fanboy website so they can ask the other questions that we can't ask because they've got subscribers that are, want this kind of information, the insider information. This, to me, is going to be a nightmare for sports information offices.
Not really, and I'll tell you why. I've asked that question, not quite that way, but I've asked that question and was told that they'll be treated just like media. Because
okay, well, if that's the case, then why would you pay for
from the SID standpoint? They can't do anything about it. This is all protected by law, apparently. With what the Supreme Court has done and what the state legislators have done in creating these laws, which were created, of course, to keep the in-state schools from being at a recruiting disadvantage to schools in states that do allow it. It's all based on the pressure being put on you to keep up with the Joneses. And so they can't stop them from doing it. And we could do it. We could start a collective and then we could pay players and coaches to come on the show over my dead, decaying body, but we could certainly do it,
No offense to any of the athletes and coaches in our state. There's not a person in our state that I would pay to listen to talk about sports.
Yeah, you're right. That goes back to my argument. The value of the college athlete is being so inflated. I mean, and now the high school kid who's in the 9th or 10th grade and sees this and's got some ability and he's a good player, maybe he's a great player and he's being, showered with accolades and now he's making the AAU tour and everybody says he's great and he's getting his sneakers from Adidas and Under Armour. They're all throwing gear at him and he's going to get to college. Well, what's my value? Of course, all you got to do is go to the On3 website. They're putting a value on your head. They're determining, they're setting a market value for you, whether you like it or not, just like these websites call you a 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, whether you like it or not. That's what they put on your head. But my point in all this tonight is they're not worth it. I'm sorry, you're not. You're worth a scholarship and you're worth getting your education paid for, but you're not worth $1 million. You're not worth $900,000. Though I have had somebody tell me in the past, and it does make sense. You're worth what somebody's willing to pay you.
No question.
Yeah.
No question.
But to me, you're not worth it. I wouldn't pay you for an interview. I can live without you, and you can live without me. I get it. So have a nice day. Let's go to the phones real quick. We've had some people waiting.
Can I get this plug in real quick?
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me get a quick plug in for our affiliate in the upstate in Greenville, 104.9. Phil has mentioned in the past how strong their signal is. And, you can take that with a grain of salt that we're trying to pump up our affiliates for obvious reasons. But he's not lying here. My wife and I were in Greenville going on our vacation this past weekend.
Was this like Thursday. A second honeymoon or something?
No, it's just It was okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, not quite St. Lucia where we went for our first.
Oh,
but
nice.
you know,
Nice.
but nonetheless, so we leave. We went up to watch my niece play lacrosse, and we left Greenville and turned over to 104.9 WROO up that way, and we were listening to the South Carolina game, the baseball game on Thursday against Ole Miss. Well, the Ole Miss play and the Gamecocks actually on the field at the same time. But as we continued to drive, and we went the back way up through the mountains and through all the twists and turns, that signal stayed with us until we got to Morganton, North Carolina. And if any of you know Western North Carolina, you realize how close that is to the mountains and how far away, 100+ miles it is from Greenville to go through the mountains and everything. That signal up at 104.9 is terrific, folks. And if you're in the upstate and need a place to listen to sports talk and carry it with you for a long, long way, there's your spot.
Yeah. We got great stations up there. That the station in Greenville, our station over in Spartanburg, Woodruff, helps hit that part of the state as well with a very strong signal. So we're very blessed to have some great affiliates up there. We appreciate them very much. All right, let's go to Bruce in Columbia. All right, Bruce, welcome into Sports Talk. We got recruiting coming up. Bruce, welcome in. How are you?
Hey, Phil. Thanks for taking my call. What a nice day we had today.
It was beautiful.
It's beautiful, I tell you.
Beautiful.
It'll be like this every day.
Yep.
I was going to give you an analogy of what you're talking about. And I don't know if you remember me telling you that these scholarships they're giving these kids was basically a slave penance. You remember that? The classroom's already paid for by the other community, as well as us out here in the community. And then the college benefits from all the ticket sales. If the players wasn't playing, they wouldn't have any ticket sales. So they need compensation from the crowd or the university. And the scholarship was just a ruse to, have the athlete come to that college.
So you're in favor of them being paid like employees?
I'm not saying I'm in favor of what they're doing now. Okay, I'm just saying from the basic point of having a scholarship scheme on these players, and they're busting their butt and getting injured. It's basically taking part of their life away from them. Because when you're playing football, your life expectancy is probably what, 60 years old?
Well, I hate to say
65?
it. But I mean, nobody makes you do it.
No.
Maybe you were raised to be an athlete. Maybe your parents, your father pushed you in that direction, and you followed suit. And you weren't independent enough. Not say you, I'm talking about in general. You weren't independent enough to be able to make that decision. I don't want to play football. I don't want to play tennis. Maybe you were pushed and forced. At some point in time, you could walk away from it, and that could be when you get away from your parents.
That shouldn't be even in the conversation I'm trying to have with you.
Well, what I'm saying is you're making it sound like a scholarship was something that was forced upon these people.
That's all.
You don't have to go to college, and you don't
Yes,
have
you
to
do.
play. No, you don't. You
Yes,
can
you
get
do.
you can get great paying jobs today without a college degree, and you don't have to play college sports if you don't want to. Who
But
says
what
you
I'm
got to
saying
play?
is the athlete is brought in with a scholarship to give to him to get through school without paying anything, but yet he's throwing his body in there and taking years off his body because of stress he's getting.
Well,
he's not gaining anything.
But
He's not
again,
gaining
you
anything.
don't have to play if you don't want to.
No, I'm not saying that's not. I'm talking about the theory of the scholarship, not anything else. That's all.
Well, okay, and we got to go, Bruce. But I mean, if you're going to play a sport, I mean, it's going to wear on you, regardless of the sport. If you decide to join the Army and go to war, I mean, there's a chance you could get shot and killed. I mean, you know that going in. If you play football, you can get hurt, and it can take a toll on your body down the road. And we've seen it right here in this studio with our good friend Rick Sanford. I mean, the wear and tear, especially at the professional level. Yeah. However, I mean, Rick would tell you he wanted to play football. He did it on his own volition. He was great at it. He might be paying a penalty for it now, but I think he loved his life as a football player. And I think they all do. You have to love it to play football.
And I've got to say this, Phil, before it drives me nuts. And this is not just against Bruce, it's everybody. Stop comparing college athletes to slaves, please.
Yeah.
The comparison is so ridiculous, it's not even worth discussing. They are not slaves. You can go through any roster, and the third string long snap punter has a much, much better life than any American slave ever had. So stop using that as comparison, please. It's way off base.
All right, got to hit a break. We're going to come back with a recruiting report here on Sports Talk, and we'll continue with your phone calls coming up. Let me drop in some afternoon baseball scores for you, as I saw where the Tigers beat the Yankees today, shut them out in Detroit. Final score of 3-0. Yankees did end up winning that series 2-1, by the way. And it's also the A's over the Orioles 6-4. Twins beat the Royals 1-0. And the Blue Jays beat the Red Sox 3-2. Back in a moment.
I learned that people are just looking for somebody to listen to them. You can't just start cutting somebody's hair and you're going to be quiet the whole time because you're not going to be in business long.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has provided over $800 million to help students attend technical colleges across our state, investing in a new generation of entrepreneurs, just like James. Your passion is our purpose.
The lady in black doesn't age. She just gets tougher. And NASCAR Throwback Weekend is when she likes to remind everyone just how they got here. Loud cars and louder colors, business up front and parties in the back. Over 70 years of history held together with one famous black stripe. Too tough to tame? I guess you'll have to find out. Darlington Throwback Weekend, May 6th through the 8th. Get your tickets at darlingtonraceway.com.
Happy Budweiser Thirsty Thursday, Fireflies fans. Celebrate the weekend a day early at Segra Park with half-price draft beer and fountain sodas plus $2 Bud Light. Are you a Disney superfan? Think you could crush the competition in a game of Disney trivia? If you answered yes, get to the game early and play pregame Disney trivia to win Fireflies tickets and gift cards. Gates open at 6 p.m. Visit firefliestickets.com to get your tickets now.
All right, time to give you the recruiting report brought to you by Seawells. All right, Pat, what's tomorrow? Fingers crossed it's a roast beef Friday over at Seawells. Do we have an RBF on the horizon?
Corn, we have RBF just for you.
Oh, man, I'm hitting it. I'm hitting it tomorrow.
Andy, sorry, it will not be a KFF, a corn-free Friday, but it will be an RBF. So, yes, at Seawells will be carved roasted sirloin of beef along with southern fried chicken and fried flounder, of course, to go with all the fixings you can handle, salad bar, and dessert.
Fantastic. You can't beat it. It's a great deal. It's delicious. There's plenty of food. There's plenty of space. You can enjoy yourself. Take along a friend or two, and they'll take care of everybody. And, of course, for the very best in the catering business, that, too, is Seawells. They'll host at their facility on Rosewood Drive, or they'll come to your location. Just give them a call at 803-771-7385 online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. All right, I'm going to catch up on a few things because we kind of cut ourselves a little short last night. So to catch up on a couple of things, of course, Clemson in basketball got a commitment yesterday from 6'3" Dylan Hunter from Atlanta and Sunrise Christian Academy in Wichita. He's the brother of current Clemson guard Chase Hunter. He had decommitted from Baylor, actually got out of his letter of intent with Baylor that he had signed last November. And both sides mutually agreed to the separation, according to the Baylor website, Sick'em 365. I like that, Sick'em 365. This season, he averaged 4 points per game, shot 21% from the floor, and 30% from three and 63% from the line. Clemson is having 6'5" Wichita State transfer Dexter Dennis in for an official visit. He was in yesterday. He's there today. He's coming off a visit to Indiana, and I believe he's heading to LSU next. And Ohio State, I got to laugh at myself. Ohio State transfer guard Michi Johnson was at USC Tuesday night and yesterday for an official visit. I'm assuming he's departed. Those of you on our Twitter last night probably saw my erroneous tweet. As I was trying to do the show and get recruiting together and everything else, I saw a tweet from a Dontavius Johnson. I did not connect to Michi Johnson, and I thought there was a Dontavius Johnson visiting USC. I even looked up and found a Dontavius Johnson who played at Kent State and Indiana Fort Wayne. Turns out it's Michi's dad.
No.
And he tweeted out a picture of himself on the visit at USC, but I thought he was a player. So
wow, he must be in great shape.
I tweeted that out for about 5 minutes before people called me out on it and said, moron, that's not the guy that's visiting. 6'11" Fede Federico of Northeast Oklahoma Junior College in Finland was at USC Tuesday. Averaged 12 points, 9 rebounds per game this season, a former West Virginia commitment. He was at Pitt on Sunday. If you see pictures of this guy, this is one hunk of a man. To me, he looks a lot like Dale Davis when Dale Davis was at Clemson. All muscles. I mean, just all body. This guy is a stud-looking guy. Been trying to connect with him. His coach has gone back to Finland. I don't know if Fede has gone back to Finland or back to Northeast Oklahoma or just where, trying to get more information. But he was in. Hayden Brown could be close on doing something after finishing his visit to Georgia Tech yesterday, or I guess Wednesday. He's been to USC and Loyola Chicago, the Citadel transfer. So he should be working on a decision and ready to do something anytime here pretty soon. Of course, 6'5" Juwan Gary went to Nebraska this week after visiting USC over the weekend. Western Kentucky's also been making a strong push for the Columbia native, and he should be making a decision pretty soon. Per Adam Zagoria, USC contacted Georgia Tech transfer 6'7" Khalid Moore. And I think we mentioned that one. 5'5", Buffalo transferred Daisha Fair was at USC this week, according to Women's Hoops with a Z. Women's Hoops with a Z. Hoopsa. Women's Hoopsa. She averaged 23 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists per game this season. Now to football. Of course, USC coach Shane Beamer put out a commitment alert Tuesday night. Still waiting for that one to be claimed by somebody. I think that's 3 that are floating around out there. 3 commitment alerts that have yet to be claimed. I could be off on that, but I think it's 3. USC target tight end Javante Connor of Kernersville, North Carolina, committed to UCF. He had narrowed his list to USC, Virginia Tech, UCF, Maryland, Mississippi State, and Florida State. USC target Zabari Sandy of Washington, D.C. will make his commitment on Mother's Day, May 8th. He was at USC last week. He also visited for the Clemson game. He's also been to Tennessee, Maryland, Ole Miss, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Cincinnati, and Maryland. He's named the top 5 of USC, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Maryland, and West Virginia. Clemson in the top 8 with tight end Jelani Thurman, along with Ohio State, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Alabama, Auburn, Miami, and Michigan State. He was in for the spring game. USC in the top 6 with receiver Aiden Williams of Ridgeland, Mississippi. The others are Tennessee, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, and Jackson State. USC Clemson target linebacker Tony Rojas plans to name a top 4 this weekend. He made stops at USC and Clemson this month. As he toured the Southeast, he plans to be at Penn State for their spring game Saturday. And USC quarterback target Dylan Lonergan plans to name a top 5 on Friday. Feels certain USC will be in that. We got more to give you. Be right back.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
Ukraine is disputing Russian President Vladimir Putin's claim that his forces have taken Mariupol.
This morning, Putin and Shoigu held a meeting. They publicly stated, firstly, that Mariupol had been captured. Secondly, they would not storm the Azovstal plant because they did not want to lose Russian troops. We would have to fight brutal battles in Azovstal. Putin has taken care of Russian soldiers so that they do not die there.
That's Ukrainian presidential advisor Alexei Arestovich through a translator. Russian troops have bombarded the southeastern port city since the early days of the war and have largely reduced it to ruins. Top Russian officials have repeatedly claimed it was about to fall, but Ukrainian forces have stubbornly held on. Military affairs analyst retired Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis tells the Salem Radio Network this may end up as a war of attrition.
The Russians are going to continue to pour in a lot of new equipment, a lot of new personnel. And the Ukrainians, of course, have their best forces along that line of contact that are well dug in.
A federal judge has temporarily blocked a new Republican-backed state law that led Kentucky's 2 remaining abortion clinics to halt the procedure. The clinics went to court seeking to overturn the legislation and asked that the law be blocked while the case is being litigated. Passed by the legislature, the law bans abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy and requires women to be examined by a doctor before receiving abortion pills. It also contains new reporting requirements that the Kentucky clinics claimed they couldn't immediately comply with. Worries about the Fed increasing interest rates sent Wall Street down today, the Dow dropping 368 points, the Nasdaq down by 278, the S&P lower by 65. More at Town Hall.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful in lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question. Pete and Seth Talbot, the father and son founders of Relief Factor, tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, 100% drug-free ingredients that each help your body deal with inflammation. Order the 3-week quick start now. Discount it to only $19.95 to see if it will work for you too. Call 800-500-8384. ReliefFactor.com.
How long does it take to tackle a home project? With Angie, you could cross it off your list before this ad is over. Just tell us what you need. Indoor or outdoor, repair or redesign, and we handle the rest, sending a top pro to get it done. You don't have to lift a finger, except to tap the screen or click the mouse. Plus, Angie is free to use. So bring us your next home project, and we'll bring it home. Download the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com to get started.
Ford is recalling more than 650,000 pickup trucks and big SUVs.
The problem is with the windshield wipers. Specifically, the teeth on them aren't the right height. That can cause the wiper arms to become stripped. And Ford says it's had more than 750 reports of them failing. The recall covers F-150 pickups and Ford Expedition and Lincoln Navigator SUVs from the 2020 and 2021 model years. Also included are the F-250, 350, 450, and 550 trucks from 2020 through 2022. Ford's F-Series pickups are the top-selling vehicles in the U.S. I'm Ben Thomas.
Long-term mortgage rates have risen for the 7th straight week, climbing to their highest level in more than a decade. Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac says the average rate on a 30-year mortgage rose to 5.11% from 5% last week. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. We're cooling down to 52 overnight. The clouds clearing out for tomorrow, and it'll be a gorgeous day. Sunny skies, high temperatures, topping out at 83. More of the same for the weekend. Mostly sunny skies, the high temps reaching the lower to mid-80s. Our hottest day might be on Monday. Temps expected to reach 87. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107.
Please press button now. No, number 1.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, we got Monty Lee of Clemson coming up in about 2 or 3 minutes. I want to wrap up the recruiting report brought to you by Seawells, and then we'll get to the coach to talk some Clemson baseball, and then more of your calls coming up. And we'll be able to drop in some of that Spencer Rattler to you tonight and talk about that since we haven't gotten to it. Want to finish up, though, with the recruiting report. Had a few more notes. AC Flora offensive tackle Ben Holmes committed to Wofford. Former TL Hanna standout defensive tackle Stephon Wynn is transferring from Alabama. Clemson was named as one of the top 5 with defensive tackle Jamal Jarrett of Greensboro, North Carolina, did so today. You talk about one hunk of a man, 6'6", 340. Big
dude.
North Carolina, LSU, Georgia, and Auburn are also in his group. He visited Clemson April 11th, met with Dabo Swinney, Wes Goodwin, Nick Eason. Liked them all. Feels very comfortable with Clemson. Great relationship there. And, thinks he thinks of Clemson as an SEC program, in his opinion. Not an ACC program, an SEC program. So, in other words, he holds them in high regard. And so, anyway, he's very strong on Clemson. And he is going to continue now to take some official visits and then get ready for some spring practice, or go through spring practice and take some official visits and then make his decision. An interesting side note to his announcement was a retweet by linebacker Pup Howard of Jacksonville, who wrote that the two of them might end up playing on the same defense, which is good for Clemson, but not South Carolina, because South Carolina's been one of the schools going after him, but the Gamecocks are not in the top 5 with Jarrett. Defensive tackle Xavier McLeod of Camden, frequent visitor to USC Williams-Brice Stadium, and he was in for the spring game last Saturday. He said he really enjoyed the atmosphere, enjoyed watching the defense play, got a chance to talk more with Jimmy Lindsey about things and how they feel about him and how he feels about them. This one seems to be moving in a positive direction for the Gamecocks at this point. And said he really enjoyed the experience in South Carolina this time around. Thinks Jimmy Lindsey is doing a really good job. And the message has been the same throughout the process, that they really want him there. And, they think he can be a big asset to them. He's also been to LSU, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Florida, and Florida State. And he wants to visit Oklahoma and Ohio State, among others. Not yet set up any officials. The others on his short list are Michigan and Oregon, and he just picked up an offer from Texas A&M. Clemson target offensive tackle Ian Reed was offered by Wisconsin. Former USC forward Jalen McCrary is transferring to Mercer from USF. So he went from USC to USF, now to Mercer. Former Clemson guard Alamir Dawes was at Georgia today. 2024 receiver Mazio Bennett plans to be at West Virginia for the spring game Saturday. And 2024 offensive tackle Cam Pringle of Woodland was offered by Tennessee. That, my friends, is the extended recruiting report brought to you by Seawells. And it's going to be our goal to do recruiting now moving forward at an established time of right around 6:50 every night, right in that segment. We feel like you'll be better served as a listener and as a recruit nut by having it. And this was something that Mr. Bergen actually imposed on us, right?
Yes, while I was out of town, you made that executive decision.
Yeah.
So I've got no problem with it. So well done. By the way, I'm sure you mentioned it, but did you notice that Ibrahim Adiba, the Sun Belt Conference's leader in assists, has jumped into the transfer portal out of Coastal?
We mentioned that the other night while you were on vacation.
I figured you did. That's a
you
gut
were on
punch
your
for the
3-week
Shauna Clears.
vacation. It might not have been 3 weeks in actuality, but it felt like 3 weeks to me.
Yeah, that's a gut punch for the Shauna Clears. He was a terrific player, and actually better before he tore his ACL in the Myrtle Beach Invitational, the game that Coastal probably should have beaten against Baylor.
I know Cliff wants to get the 900 wins in the worst way, but if I'm Cliff, fellas, I'm like, I'm 76 years old. I am tired of this crap. I mean, he develops players, and then they leave. Like he had a really good guard last year leave and go to Michigan, right?
Yeah, Devontae Jones.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you got this guy up and leaving. I mean, what is the point? What is the point of coaching if you can't get a guy out of high school, develop him, and keep him not only just as an athlete, but as a young man and make him into a grown man, get him graduated and on his way into life. Isn't that what it's supposed to be about?
And as much as we'll talk about the high majors, because that's what most people focus on, it's much, much worse at the mid-major level.
Oh, yeah, because all these guys want to move up. They think they can move up. As we welcome in Clemson baseball coach Monty Lee here to Sports Talk. I don't know if he's cleaning or cooking tonight. I know one thing, his team is starting to cook. And Tiger fans, they saw that great start, then it kind of leveled off, and now it's on an uptick. Good evening, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing great, guys. How are y'all?
We're good. I hear dishes clashing in the background.
Yeah, well, I've already done the dishes. I cut the grass this afternoon. Did a little weed eating. So we had a short practice today after having back-to-back midweek games for the first time this year. So had a light practice today, and I actually got home and got to have a little bit of a normal afternoon here at the house. So it's been good.
Nice. So you kind of give the guys a little bit of a break here, a little bit of a day off.
Yeah, well, we hit in the cages. We literally just put them in small groups and just got some cage work in for 30 minutes or so and then sent them to the weight room. We just felt like after playing 18 innings in the middle of the week, we were on the road last weekend at Wake. We come back, we get one day off, and we were on the road, played Georgia. At Georgia, came back and then played ETSU last night. So just felt like we needed to recharge the batteries a little bit with the guys and have a little bit of a lower key day today. And because obviously get them energized and ready to go to Florida State this weekend.
Would you prefer to avoid the 5-game week if at all possible? Is there no way to avoid that?
Yes, 100%. I think that until we get a little bit of a better, there's a couple things that I think when it comes to schedules. I think the baseball season needs to start a little bit later. I've always felt like we start way too early. It's cold. Typically you see a slew of injuries at the beginning of the season because pitchers you can't get pitchers ready in 3 weeks of practice. It's just very, very difficult and challenging. And I think our schedule needs to be a little bit longer. I know we have the longest practice and playing season of all Division I sports, but playing one midweek game a week, 4 games a week, is plenty enough baseball for a college baseball, especially a pitching staff. I don't know anybody who feels like they have enough pitching to feel good about playing 5 games in a week. It's just really, really challenging.
So this most recent surge, starting with last weekend at Wake Forest, and actually beginning, I guess, in the middle of last week, and then continuing through the Wake Forest series, and you picked up 2 wins in the midweek here. And the thing I look at, your team is really starting to hit the long ball with consistency. Is that maybe one of the things you're seeing with this team, turn it back around after that hot start?
Yeah, I think that's been a big key for us. I mean, we've had quite a few guys in the lineup who are swinging the bat really, really well. A couple guys in particular are Max Wagner and Blake Wright. Those 2 guys have really started to heat up. Ingle's been Ingle. Grice is starting to put together, better at bats. I think he's hit 3 home runs in the last week. So he's starting to swing the bat a little bit better. I think that's been a big part of it. Our bullpen has been doing a nice job. Starting pitching wise, we still need to get deeper into the games, and that's going to be a big focus for us this weekend. But our bullpen has done a really good job, and we've played really good defensively. Like we haven't beat ourselves. The key for us is honestly it's the first 2 to 3 innings of the game. When we throw up zeros first 2 to 3 innings of the game, we tend to get better as the game goes on from a pitching standpoint. But the big key for us is almost like the save is in the first. If we can get through the first inning and everything is okay, then it seems like we get on a little bit of a roll, and offensively we have been swinging the bats quite well.
Your pitching, as you mentioned, you've only named 1 starter for this Florida State series. Why are you naming just 1 right now?
Well, I think that it's kind of a domino effect. We did that last weekend. We just felt like, if we need to use, some of the guys that we have started on the weekend on Saturday and Sunday, if we need to use them to win a game on Friday night, then that's what we're going to do. and then we will make, a change or go in whatever direction we feel like we need to go in games 2 and 3, because we have options. We feel like, Hoffman can start, Clayton can start, we could start Gilbert, we could start Barlow, we could start Grice. I think that, right now, the key for us is we've got to win league games. Our record is fine. Our RPI is fine. I think we're in the top 40 in the RPI, but we got to win some league games. That's the bottom line. So for us right now, every game is critical. And, we just feel like going TBA. As you guys know, I think we have an idea, and we've talked about it. It's not like we're just going to pull a name out of the hat and go with it. We have an idea of who we want to start in games 2 and 3. However, we need to win game 1 first. And again, if we need to use some guys who have started for us, like a Clayton or a Hoffman, if we need to use those guys out of the bullpen to win on Friday night, then we're going to do it. And then we'll go to the next guy that we feel like gives us the best chance to get us off to a good start on Saturday or Sunday.
Clemson head baseball coach Monty Lee with us here tonight on Sports Talk. Always fun when the Tigers and Florida State get together in any sport, certainly in baseball, and that's the case this coming weekend. And Coach, I've always wondered the value of summer league baseball and wooden bat baseball in particular. We've got a couple of teams in our state in Columbia and over here where I am in Florence that play wooden bat, but I wanted to focus in on Max Wagner in particular. He went up to the Northwoods League last summer and came back, and he's as good a hitter as you've got on your team right now. Did you see that in him last year? How much did summer baseball help him, and have you been even surprised at how well he's developed at the plate?
Well, quite honestly, in the recruiting process, what you're seeing is what we thought we were going to get. We loved him. Like when I saw Max play, we had already began the recruiting process of Max. And when I went to go see him play, I said, we may have a hard time getting this guy to school. This guy can really hit, really play defense at third base. We thought we had again, an potential All-American caliber type talent coming in. And, Max is from Wisconsin. So I think that just coming from a cold weather state, he didn't have a lot of reps under his belt. When he got here as a true freshman, we played him quite a good bit last year. I think he got 70, 80 at-bats as a true freshman, and he struggled some. And I think him going out and playing in the Northwoods League, which they play more baseball in the Northwoods League than any other wood bat league in the summer. I think they play close to 70 games. They play like 68 games in the Northwoods League. So he got a ton of at-bats. And I think just getting the at-bats, getting more comfortable, he's stronger. He's a little more mature. He understands himself a lot better this year in terms of his strengths and his weaknesses, and he's able to make adjustments. And I think that just comes with maturity and age and time. And I wouldn't say it surprised us because we felt like he was talented enough to do what he's doing. I'm just glad it happened. I think that's the biggest thing because we saw it. I mean, we thought he was going to be a special player.
All right, give us a breakdown of Florida State. They come in pretty good overall record. They've been really good at home, not as much on the road, which is normally the case in college baseball. It's a Mike Martin team, not the Mike Martin, but it's his son still working with them. What do you see out of Florida State, and what concerns do you have about their club?
Well, we feel like they have the best pitching staff in the league. Their pitching staff is phenomenal from a talent standpoint. They got Parker Messick going on Friday night. Parker Messick is he was the best starting pitcher in the ACC last year. So he's an absolute bulldog. He's a left-handed pitcher, 3 pitches, fastball, changeup, slider. He's going to come after our guys, and he's just really good. I mean, we got to get a great start out of England to match him. But their starting pitching and the depth of their pitching staff it's the best in our league. Lineup-wise, they've got some dangerous pieces. They picked up some guys out of the portal. I know you guys were talking about the portal. They went into the portal and picked up some players, and they have some power. But I would say the number one calling card of this team, coming in this weekend with Florida State is their pitching staff. They're awfully good.
You gave Caden Grice a little work on the mound last night. How's he coming along mound-wise? You're going to see more of him in that situation?
Well, he threw pretty good last night. I mean, again, he's fairly rusty from a command standpoint. We need to get him on the mound as much as we can. We threw him last week for an inning against USC Upstate at the end of the game, and I think he threw maybe an inning and 2/3. I'm not quite sure what his line was last night, but we upped his pitch count. And, we definitely need to just continue to increase his volume. and see if that could become a potential option for us, either as a weekend starter or a midweek starter, because he has the ability to start for us, and he's pretty dang good. So we need to have all options on the table when it comes to starting pitching.
All right, now what was the deal with his jersey on Sunday, or is that some sort of a state secret? I've been trying to get the story on why he went from 31 to 99, and I keep getting the runaround.
Well, I'll give you the straight up. You heard it straight from the horse's mouth exactly what happened. He just lost his jersey. So we carry. We have an extra gear bag, and this is not the first time this has happened in my career where a player just lost his jersey. So we lost his jersey. He actually wore, I think he wore, like, this is the second time that, because when we wear that particular jersey, he doesn't have it, but he wore like 50 something. Then he went with 99 against Wake Forest. So, there's nothing better and more fulfilling for the head coach when he walks out to home plate and he has to tell the umpire and the other head coach, hey, Grice is not wearing, and I think his number's 31.
Yeah.
Like, he's not wearing 31 for this game. He's wearing 99 because he lost his jersey. Just want to make sure you guys know that.
That's hilarious.
So, yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Any idea, like, how you lose a jersey on the road?
Well, obviously you'd have to ask Kate in that. So, I don't know. That's a great question. But he hit 2 home runs with 99 on. So he was joking around about it. We said, "Hey, you think I can get 99 in all my jerseys?" And I'm like, no. I was like, no, we don't make 99, Caden. Like, it's an extra jersey. Just for dodos that lose their jersey. So no, we don't have.
That's great.
We don't have a set of 99s for you.
That's
Phil,
great.
he's 19. You have to ask the question, how can he lose? You had kids.
That's true.
Get
That's
stuff.
true. Last thing, we'll let you go. We'll let you go after this because I know you got to get back to your yard and your dishes. At this point, how do you feel about making the NCAA tournament, hosting? I mean, like you mentioned, you got to win league games. That's pretty much what's ahead of you. So what do you think you have to do here?
Well, I think the main thing is we can't look that far ahead. I think the main thing for us is we got to win series. We've got to win series. Look, our record's fine, our RPI is fine, but our league record is not, and that's the key for us. We've got to win games in the league. So I think our postseason hopes, whatever is going to happen for us, is going to be dependent upon our weekend series and what we do on the weekend. So that's our main focus right now. And the great thing is we're coming off of a road series win against Wake Forest, and we've been playing much better baseball. We play at home this weekend, and we need to have a good weekend. We need to win. We need to find a way to beat Florida State this weekend, and I think if we can do that, if we can win back-to-back ACC series wins, I think our team has a chance to get on a roll a little bit.
Well, you moved up 12 spots in the RPI, so you're up to 34. So you're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, we certainly are. And again, we just got to win games. We got to win league games, and I think that's there's no secret to it. We're not necessarily talking about it. We're just honestly, guys, we're trying to have an opening day mentality. That's what we keep telling the guys every day, is that, hey, every day is opening day. We need to go out there and compete as hard as we can. Your stats don't matter. Our record doesn't matter. Let's go win this game. And the guys have responded pretty well to it, and hopefully they continue to do so.
Well, we thank you as always. Thank you for solving the mystery of the jersey change, and we'll talk to you again soon. Good luck this weekend.
All right. Thanks for having me on as always, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Coach.
you very much. Yeah, I tried to find out through the proper channels.
That's hysterical.
Well, I guess then they didn't want to embarrass the young man. I was just told there was an issue with the jersey, and that was all I could squeeze out of somebody who I won't name, who, led me down the wrong track. Clemson's 34 in the RPI, 24-13 overall. Strength of schedule is 20. They're 20-3 against non-conference teams.
But 4-10 is all that matters, Phil, and that's their problem. And Monty hit it on the head. They've got to win conference series, and they finally won one this weekend. They've got to build on that. And for you Tiger fans who are planning to go tomorrow night, don't mess around. The game's at 6. It may be over by 7:30. because you heard Coach mention Parker Messick as maybe the best pitcher in the ACC. This kid with 94 strikeouts already this season. That game may take 2 hours, and it's done.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night, Wade Anglin can pitch, too.
Tigers are 6-11 in Q1 games, so they get a chance to improve in that category because Florida State is 16 in the RPI. South Carolina, take a quick look at them. Gamecocks have moved up 1 spot since this thing was updated. They're 61 in the RPI, and they're 19-17, 6-9 in the SEC. Their strength of schedule, 9th in the country. Pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would have thought it was higher than that.
Yeah, they're 9th in the country, and their non-conference record is 13-8. Non-conference RPI is 115. Non-conference strength of schedule is 114, and they're 7-12 in Q1 games. So they get Auburn this weekend, and both these teams have a chance to really help themselves with a good weekend. And then there's Wofford. Hello, Wofford, leading the SoCon at 6-0, 27 RPI, 28-9 overall, 74 strength of schedule, and 22-9 in non-league games. So they're having a really good year. I'm going to dial in more on the Terriers here coming up as they continue to play good baseball.
And if the committee is listening, they're an at-large good team. They're not just a good Southern Conference team. They are an at-large good team. If for some reason they trip up in the Southern Conference tournament, should not cost them, assuming they continue to play good baseball for the next month or so, should not cost them a bid. That's a really, really good baseball team, and hopefully they'll get rewarded for that.
Another recruiting note to pass along. Jawan Gary, who I just talked about earlier in recruiting, he tonight has committed to Nebraska. Kid out of Columbia who went to Alabama, leaving Alabama. Nebraska does – this is the third in-state South Carolina player in the last few years. The 2 McGowan's kids out of Wren both ended up at Nebraska. One went there at a high school. One went there as a transfer from Pitt. And I think one of them has left and gone to Florida State, I think, is where he ended up. And now Gary's heading out there. And Gary took an official visit to South Carolina. By the way, people no doubt wondering what's up with G.G. Jackson, because he's going to be in the 23 class. I talked to his coach yesterday. He just said there's nothing. He's been told nothing. The thought was he might come back from his spring break ready to announce something. Mm-hmm. But so far, nothing on that front. So that remains on hold. And I don't know if that's good or bad for South Carolina. A lot of people are writing off South Carolina in that since the departure of Frank Martin. It seems to me that if a big thing with you was staying close to home and wanting to put your face on a program and wanting to be the Aja Wilson of the men's program, well, that's still there. Just because Frank Martin's gone, the arena's still there. School's still there. The same academics are there. The same opportunity. You probably even have a bigger opportunity to have a major impact in 2023. But
back to Nebraska for a second. How much do you believe Fred Hoiberg's NBA experience may help him be able to sort of nationally recruit what is a bad program? I mean, they only won 10 games this past year.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a very good. Mm-hmm. He didn't do well in the NBA, right? He got blown out as the Bulls coach. So I don't know what you want to tell anybody that you coached in the NBA, to be quite honest with you. Let's see. Wanted to mention here that we got a lot of golf going on. We'll hit this after the break. We got the PGA. We've got the SEC Men's Championship in South Carolina sitting right now in 11th place. We'll give you details on that in a moment. The Big South Tournament is also taking place at the Patriot at Grand Harbor. I've played that course before. You probably have as well. You know why I love the Patriot at Grand Harbor?
No.
Because they use real cannonballs as tee markers.
That's right.
And if you get mad at the tee marker, you're going to lose. The tee marker is going to win because it is a true cannonball. I think that's the coolest tee marker in golf, the cannonball there at the Patriot at Grand Harbor. All right, going to hit a break. We'll come back with these notes, and we are going to hear from Spencer Rattler, right? Make me. Yes. And we'll take more phone calls, too. We'll be back after the break.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. We're cooling down to 52 overnight. The clouds clearing out for tomorrow, and it'll be a gorgeous day. Sunny skies, high temperatures, topping out at 83. More of the same for the weekend. Mostly sunny skies, the high temps reaching the lower to mid-80s. Our hottest day might be on Monday. Temps expected to reach 87. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
When you think about spring, good stuff springs to mind. You know, like spring break. Woohoo! A friend springing for drinks.
Thanks, dude.
A spring in your step. Spring fever. Oh, behave. And best of all, spring water dough pizza from the Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers.
Yeah, baby.
Experience the taste of spring with our amazing hand-tossed pies, spring fresh salads, and over 100 beers from around the world. Enjoy spring at the Mellow Mushroom in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I'll tell you, I'm a tough case. I am 91 years old, and I'm amazed. That's why I'm doubling my order. I tried about 30 different supplements, and this is the most amazing product I have ever tried. I am very delighted with it. You may give me another 10 years on this earth. It's a miracle for me.
Get a wide variety of all your daily recommended servings of whole fruits and vegetables without having to leave your home. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or by going to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code BALANCE.
You know what? I get asked every now and then, Kev, when you say my guy, do you really have a my guy at Palmetto Exterminators? Oh, I really do. Ron Byers is my guy. Do you realize I've been a customer of Palmetto Exterminators for 20 years this summer? That's over the course of 3 homes, longer than my kids have been around. I'm loyal to Palmetto Exterminators for several reasons. First, they do a phenomenal job with pest control for a very fair price. It's just not a concern around my home. They take care of everything from regular visits to termite inspection, mosquito care. This is a company that's been around for more than 60 years serving the Midlands. When they come around, they're clean, they're courteous, and they're on time. Look, it's not just me. When it comes to things like those pesky mosquitoes, Palmetto Exterminators voted best of Columbia in Columbia Metropolitan for their mosquito control. I could have told you that before anyone even voted. What else can you possibly need from your pest control company? If you're looking for someone to help you, look no further than my guy, Ron Byers, Palmetto Exterminators. Online, it's palmettoexterminators.net or call them 254-5833, 254-5833.
Hi, honey. Were you able to drop by Tree Pharmacy today to pick up Mom's medications?
Yes, she sure is on a lot of meds.
I know. That's why I go over so often, to help make sure she's taking them correctly.
Well, I have great news. The pharmacist at True Pharmacy said he can pre-pack her medications into individual doses.
Wow. Knowing she's taking the right meds at the right time will give me great peace of mind. But how much does it cost?
That's the even better part. It's free. Just another great service they offer at True Pharmacy. True Pharmacy, 2 locations, Charleston Highway in West Columbia and Divine Street downtown.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
When it comes to firearms, ammunition, and accessories, some things are changing. Well, fortunately, some things haven't changed a bit. I'm talking all about Shooter's Choice in West Columbia. What has never and will never change is the customer service. Top-notch with the staff that has decades of experience in the firearms industry. This staff actually hunts and shoots regularly. For over 30 years, Shooter's Choice has never lost that hometown feel and never felt like shopping at some big box store. What has changed? Well, technology. If you'd rather spend your money on firearms than gas, go online to shooterschoicesc.com and check out a great website that's easy to navigate 24/7. Be the first to get items as they are received at the store. Be the first to get that newest production model ordered before it even enters the retail store. Come pick it up at your convenience. Sign up for notifications of new products and special inventory. It's all at shooterschoicesc.com. So come on in and see the team at Shooter's Choice, 944 Sunset Boulevard, or visit online. Either way, you'll see what I'm talking about. Make your first choice, your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
My favorite piece of bumper music right there. You know who that's from? I used to know, but I can't remember. It's that hard rock group that
that narrows the field.
They're the ones that redid that song by Simon and Garfunkel. What's it called? Come on, somebody help me out. Like
Sound of Silence?
Yeah. 800 million views. Remember I told you about that? 800 million views. What's the name of that group? Out of Chicago. They're from Chicago. The lead singer's from Chicago. Very famous. So famous I can't remember their names. But anyway, I just love that piece of bumper music. A couple of quick notes and then back to your phone calls. 888-898-2525. We got some SEC baseball tonight. Ole Miss on top of Mississippi State, 3-0. Bottom of the second. Missouri LSU just getting underway. Our boy, Mike Morgan, on the call on that game. I do believe he told me he was doing that game. Mentioned the SEC men's golf tournament at the St. Simon's Island. And Vanderbilt is your leader at 13 under par through 2 rounds. Florida is at 9 under. LSU is at 7 under. Texas A&M is at 6 under. Auburn is 4 under. Georgia 3 under. Missouri 2. Mississippi State 1. Tennessee is even. Gamecocks are at 10 over par at this point after 2 rounds. 10 over par for the Gamecocks. And let's see here. Oh, they don't have the individual scores for the team there. Okay. So I will go to the player leaderboard individually. Player from Texas A&M is your leader at 6 under par. Fikaxen Machan. Now, this is a spelling I've never seen before. All right, Mr. Bergens, pronounce this name. Phichanskn.
Woo.
Fikaxen Machan.
All right.
1 under. He's the leader. 6 under after a couple of 67s. The top Gamecock is Ryan Hall, a 66 yesterday and a 70 today. So he is tied for second. He is 4 under par, just 2 shots back.
Don't they have to get inside the top, top 8 to get to match play? Or
Yeah,
is that the
top
NCAAs?
8 teams advance to match play. Yeah. Big South tournament over at the Patriot, Grand Harbor. Campbell, which I believe Campbell is one day going to move out of the Big South because they're growing and their teams are really good. They're really good in baseball. They're good in football. I think they're good in basketball. I think they might outgrow the Big South. Anyway, 8 under par, they lead. Charleston Southern right there at 5 under. And Gardner Webb and Winthrop are next, tied for third at +2. High Point is in 5th at 5 over par. ACC Championship will get underway tomorrow. The PGA is playing the Zurich Classic of New Orleans. This is the team concept, 2 guys teaming up. And how about Matthew Neesmith, the former Gamecock, and Taylor Moore? They go 12 under 60 today.
Ooh.
When I first saw it, I thought maybe Neesmith himself had gone 12 under 60, but no, as a team. But they don't lead. Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay. They're at 13 under 59. Really? 13 under 59. How about Tommy Gainey and Robert Garrigus? 11 under 61. For those two, they're right there. Doc Redmond and Sam Ryder, they also are at 61. Bubba Watson and Harold Varner III, they're at 62. Wesley Bryan is in the hunt. He's playing with Trey Mullinax, and they had a 9 under 63 today. So they're up in the on the leaderboard too. Let's see if anybody else locally here. We've got Kevin Kisner and Scott Brown, the 2 Aiken guys playing together, 6 under 66. Lucas Glover and Shez Revy, they're at 6 under 66. Kyle Stanley and Camilo Villegas, they're on the course. They are 6 under with 1 hole to play. Ben Martin is playing. Pat, your buddy, Ben Martin. Ben Martin's playing with Bo Van Pelt, not Scott Van Pelt. Bo Van Pelt, 5 under
give him his
67.
Back? I said, did Pat give him his clubs back so he could play?
Absolutely not. Sorry, Ben.
He wants his wedge back. Give him his wedge back.
I'm not any good with a wedge, so he can have that back if he really wants it. It has done me no favors.
All right, let's get back to the phone calls, and then a little Spencer Rattler. I know it's old, but it's still good. Some things grow old, but they're still good, right? Right, Chris?
Yes, sir.
Some
Like a
things do
fine
grow
wine.
old, but they're still good. Andy in Columbia. Welcome in, Andy. It's Sports Talk on a Thursday. How are you?
Chris, welcome back. You were sorely missed.
He was.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
And I must say, the only thing that would be better is if I would be telling Corn to have a nice weekend today, and tomorrow would be KFF.
Yeah.
But, we'll suffer through it. Mr. Corn, I got a
Yes.
few questions for you. You were giving scores of baseball games. Is there any reason you didn't give the score from Queens, New York today?
Oh, you know what? I didn't get that far up the list. That was the next one on the list before I had to go to the break. The Mets beat the Giants 6-2. The Guardians beat the White Sox 6-3. Sorry, I just
I
didn't.
don't want to hear the rest. All I cared about was that.
Well, if you knew it, why did you need me to tell you?
Well, because I just felt like everybody else was missing out because you were just such a non-Met fan that you just skipped right over a great pitching day by the Cookie Monster. So.
I saw where my buddy Gary Cohen got in a little hot water, apparently.
Oh, yeah, well,
Something he said on a hot mic, nothing outrageous. He's apparently on a hot mic. He, during a commercial break, was asking why they were running Yankee highlights on the Mets channel. I'm sure that didn't go over real well in New York.
When you have Keith Hernandez also with mics, there's all kinds of things that come when you watch SNY.
That's true.
So it's very, very great commentary from when you have a Ron Darling and Keith Hernandez paired with a Gary Cohn.
Yes.
They're pretty sharp. Now, Mr. Corn.
Yes.
You were talking earlier today about the NIL.
Yes.
And you said that you thought that, just like a pianist who has a scholarship, that she's fine by getting that scholarship, and that's it. But, Corn, that's not the truth. The only people who cannot make money that get scholarships were athletes. That pianist could have went on YouTube or any social media that you can get accounts and be able to make money, and could have done that as the pianist getting a scholarship from any university or college.
Right. And I would say the reason you can't do it is that if you want.
But you just said it was the same thing earlier.
Well, I'm going to tell you why.
But now you're backtracking.
No, I'm not. You won't let me talk. Wait a minute. I should be.
Of course
I should be talking over you, not the other way around.
Talk.
I'm talking over you. Okay, I'm over you. I'm on top of you. I'm talking over you. Here's the deal. You can't do this. And okay, it's team competition, and when you're a pianist, you're on your own. You're doing your own thing. You're not part of a team, and you
just said she was part of the concert.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not in competition. Nobody cares about the pianist. They care about the quarterback, and they care about the point guard. And my point is that if you allow this spending frenzy to take place in college athletics, then it's going to be as one-sided as you think it is now. What's it going to be 10 years down the road? And as hard as it is for a place like South Carolina to compete now, how are they going to compete with the other schools that will step up and spend and have boosters who will spend the outrageous amount of money that it's going to grow to get the best players? I don't foresee South Carolina being in that boat and this boosters being in that boat doing that. I don't know that I even see Clemson's supporters and boosters doing that. Maybe I misread them. Maybe I only foresee a few schools who have that reputation stepping up and doing that. The ones like in Texas or maybe out in California in the big markets. The players are going to naturally gravitate toward the big markets where they think they can get the big marquee dollars from those kind of markets. What's going to happen to a South Carolina and a Clemson over time? You might not feel it right now, but in time, as this thing grows and gets bigger and bigger, who's going to come to Clemson, South Carolina, when they can go to Los Angeles and have NILs that get them in front of, I don't know, in movies and in anything else out there they can get in? That the balance of competition in the college game, I think, is going to be so tilted as a result of this. And the difference to me is the pianist for the band or the trumpet player for the band. I mean, they're not in competition. They're not in competition like your sports teams are. It's a different animal. Okay. And
well, how about the dance girls who are in a competition? They can go out there.
Do people care if you win
It's
a
a good
dance
looking
competition?
woman, they'll start paying them money.
Okay,
for
I'm
being
not
on
talking
social
about
media
that.
stuff.
Okay, I'm not being dragged into that cesspool, but I'm talking about what do people care about? Okay, let's talk about truly. Let's take off your blinders and talk about what people care about. They care about football, basketball, baseball, and I'm even throwing women's basketball around here into the same category there, because people do care about women's basketball here in Columbia. So I'm sorry, the pianist for the choir is important, but not important on 100,000 people aren't going to go, or 80,000 people aren't going to go and buy a ticket and listen to you unless maybe you're Elton John and you're doing your goodbye tour
Billy Joel
for the second time or the third time you're doing your goodbye tour, whatever the case may be.
This is what I have a problem with the coaches' wives. They were fine making $5 million plus a year, but having Adidas and these other bag carriers come and give money to families and stuff like that was all fine. But now that it's all going in a legitimate way, they want nothing to do with it. Isn't that hypocritical?
Well, I think that if I'm a coach, I'm going to ask. I look at. See, you and I don't see eye to eye on how a college student should be viewed and how a college athlete should be viewed.
Should a college student be paid by Adidas and Nike or Under Armour or some other outside agent that is getting you to go to some other school?
I
which
think
has been going on.
I think a college athlete's worth is really capped with a scholarship. I think a scholarship is an equivalent to what a college. I mean, I wouldn't pay $100 for an athlete to come over and shake my hand and sign a piece of paper. A college athlete or any athlete for that matter. I'm not into the signed autograph deal. That doesn't float my boat. I never have been. So I don't see the value in that, and I don't see the value in paying a college athlete all this money, knowing that he could up and leave after 1 year. There's nothing holding him under the current rules. There's nothing holding him to your school. So you're putting this money into him. He gets unhappy over some reason. He takes off and goes somewhere else. You might say, okay, well, that ends our agreement. Fine. He'll just go do an agreement with somebody else. What do you get out of it?
Well, that's called making a bad investment, which is part of life.
I give you that. It is a bad investment. How many people are going to keep making bad investments?
Well, until people learn not to, then they will stop making those type of investments.
Well, don't you think in time people are going to see it's a bad investment?
Well, it depends on, I'll tell you this right now. I already know EPTE and part of some other forms in Clemson have reached out to marketing companies to help them with NILs.
I have no doubt. And South Carolina's got some things going on too. I mean, they've got these organizations helping them out. I don't. What is it that these organizations are going to do for the athletes?
They're making it legitimate, and they're not making it under the table, in my opinion. And that's the difference. This is all legitimate. It's not all under the table, hush, hush. We're going to give you and your family this and this and this for you to go to this school. Okay?
But it's legitimate. It's above the table. I give you that. It's above the table. But is it legitimate? Because they say it's not supposed to be used in recruiting. So that makes it illegitimate. You're breaking the rules. You're breaking the rules out in front of everybody versus breaking the rules under the table. So what are you gaining here? Because it's not supposed to be used. It's not. Would you agree with me that according to the NCAA, you're not supposed to use NIL? You could be subject to penalties if NIL is used in recruiting, right?
Right, but it's a lot more in sight now so that people can see that it's being done, and it's not all being done by bag handlers now. And there's more proof of what's going on. So if the NCAA would ever, but we know they won't, want to come down on some of these institutions, they can have more of a paper trail to prove their stuff instead of a bag man who's handing money off to Zion Williamson's family and so forth's family that no one can ever track, and those type of things.
Yeah.
That's just my feeling about it. It's giving you a clearer picture. of
We
what's
got to
going
run to a break. I appreciate what you're saying. Again, I'm only giving you my opinion. I'm not saying my opinion is absolute in the way of the world. Obviously, it isn't. My opinion goes directly against the way the trend is in college sports. I don't want to see the college sports scene and landscape change. I mean, that's just me. I just don't want to see it change. I think the college game should be about kids coming out of high school and wanting to get a free education at a college or university and following their dreams in terms of what they would be if they weren't going to be an athlete, because so few of them are going to make any money and so few of them are going to go on and play their sport in the pros. And, I don't believe that you go to college to work for that college, to be employed by that college. And we'll pick up on this after the break. Be right back.
Show your team pride wherever you go with Founders Federal Credit Union's collegiate debit cards. Get your University of South Carolina and Clemson University debit cards at any Founders office or by calling 1-800-845-1614. Plus, our debit cards are digital wallet ready, so you can pay however you please. Not a member? Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our 37 convenient locations to see if you qualify for membership. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Sports fans, are you in it to win it? Join South Carolina's fight against COVID-19 by getting your vaccine today. Vaccines are safe and will help stabilize school operations by bringing us back together safely. The CDC recommends everyone 5 years and older get vaccinated. Visit scdhec.gov/VaxLocator or call 866-365-8110 to find a vaccination station near you.
Parents ask, what's the best way to save for college? I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and my answer is always open a Future Scholar 529 college savings account. It's easy. You can get started online with any amount. It's flexible to adapt to your child's college dreams. And you can deduct 100% of your contributions from the South Carolina state tax return. So what are you waiting for? Go to futurescholar.com and see why it's the smart, easy way to save for college. Futurescholar.com.
Life, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsibly.sc.com.
The lady in black doesn't age. She just gets tougher. And NASCAR Throwback Weekend is when she likes to remind everyone just how they got here. Loud cars and louder colors, business up front and parties in the back. Over 70 years of history held together with one famous black stripe. Too tough to tame? I guess you'll have to find out. Darlington Throwback Weekend, May 6th through the 8th. Get your tickets at darlingtonraceway.com.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Again, to me, there's a difference between what you do for the band and what you do for the football team, and what you do for the basketball team, what you do for the baseball team, what you do for the women's basketball team. To me, that's just a difference. And one's about being part of a team, and one's about, trying to have some sort of regulatory rules in place to give teams. Of course, it's a loose fit in college sports all across the country throughout the leagues. It's not like the NFL and the NBA, Major League Baseball, where they try to create some sort of a level playing field in some ways. But this Wild West approach that we're having now, I think it's going to tilt the level of competition, the balance of competition in certain ways, and going to leave some teams who might otherwise have a chance to be in the fight, I think, out of the fight. Real quick, sorry to make you wait. Let's go to Mark in Irmo. Mark, thank you very much for waiting. You're on Sports Talk.
Hey, gentlemen, how you doing? I'll make this real quick. I've really just got a simple question, and I don't know if we have enough time, but I'd love to. I'll be listening all week, and you can kind of go into it. But I've been out of the country for over 6 months, and I come back, and I'm hearing all kind of terms, and I really don't understand. I've asked several of my friends to explain. They said they really don't know. So can you give me a Cliff Note versions of what we mean by nil? What has changed with the NCAA? What has changed? There's something that's changed. There's transfer portals. There's all kind of crap.
Where have you been?
I was on a mission trip. I was on it for 6 months.
Wow. Good to have you back.
Thank you, sir.
Good to have you back. Thank you for what you do. Well, very quickly, NIL is name, image, likeness. And this came about last summer, and the courts ruled that schools, I don't remember the exact terminology, but they ruled that schools could not limit what a student could make through their academic and I guess athletic endeavors while they're in school. Don't remember the exact wording, but basically in the nutshell, it allows players to be paid for making public appearances, signing autographs, doing interviews. If they go on YouTube and create a YouTube account and can make money that way by reading a comic book to people, whatever it is they can do in the name of their name and their image and their likeness to make money, you can do it now. The NCAA can't stop you from doing that. But what it's become now, what the NCAA said was this could not be used as a part of your recruiting efforts of a player. You can't tell a player, well, come here, you'll make more NIL money than if you go there. But of course, that's how it's being used. It's become very much of a recruiting tool. And then what you're seeing cropping up are these things called collectives. And those are new companies, I guess, that are being formed mostly by fans. You got some media fanboys who are getting involved as well. And they're asking people to give money to this collective, like, donate $15, $20, whatever. We'll take our cut, but then we'll use some of that money to go to a player who we might interview on our website, or we'll set up a signing session, an autograph signing session. We'll handle this because the schools can't do it.
Sounds like a political pact.
Is that what it could be?
A collective,
Yeah. That's a good point. It's sort of like that. But see, the schools themselves can't do this. Their hands are tied. They can't do anything. They can't stop it, and they're supposedly not involved with it. Though the schools are spending money to hire outside agencies to come in and educate, and I guess maybe direct and oversee. But then you've got other outside people who are getting involved in forming these collectives. And then, of course, the transfer portal was formed by the NCAA, where a player no longer has to go to his coach or through his compliance office. He can just put his name in this transfer portal. He can be contacted by any other coach, any other school, and transfer without penalty.
I think that we're opening. It sounds to me like when you start bringing money in like this, and I agree with you, Corn. I believe that the scholarship should be enough, and I believe students are young. I believe when you're putting that much money in that young a mind, I think it's a disaster waiting to happen. Plus,
I hate to do this. If you can call us tomorrow night, we'll pick you back up. We got to go. We're out of time. Chris, great to have you back. Thanks for being with us. Thank you, Pat. See you tomorrow.
Someone will be right with you. The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.